Welcome to ADHD Whiskey. My name is Matt. If you're new here, my name is Matt. Today is what some people would consider to be an old school episode of ADHD Whiskey, blended with a new school episode of ADHD Whiskey because I'm sitting here in a home that's not mine, being extra quiet because so many people are trying to sleep, including my wife and my children and my mother-in-law, which makes me want to be extra loud, but I'll annoy her some other way. I'll figure it out. I won't do my dishes. How about that? We're on our family vacation. We're in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and that means one thing. I have to shoot videos not at home. I did do some batch shooting before we left, but I still have to do a couple things while I'm on the road, including the July video for Barrel King, the July releases for Barrel Friggin' King. As always, it's important to let you know that I am employed by Barrel King, so take everything I say about them with a grain of salt. Then take that grain of salt and throw it into the toilet and flush it down the drain because Barrel King is the shiznit, and I don't care who knows it. But I do want everybody to know it. First up, this bad boy, batch 89. 89 is 114.4 proof. It is a blend of 7-year 21% rye MGP bourbon and 7-year 45% wheat MGP bourbon. After blended, it was then finished in stag barrels and honey barrels, resulting in its name, Stag Lee. By the way, I've already shot this video twice. Well, technically once, but technically twice. One of these videos was a tasting video I did with Jared while visiting Barrel King, and the second video I shot earlier today in front of a lake, talking all about the great bourbons in July that Barrel King do supply. But my microphone, it didn't work. So it was a whole lot of me talking to the camera, but just looking like I wasn't talking, just moving my mouth. So some of the things I'm gonna say are gonna sound probably rehearsed or read, but I didn't rehearse them or read them. They're my honest thoughts, I'm just repeating them. That's batch 89. That's Stag Lee. And that is what I would consider to be one of the finest honey-finished bourbons I've ever had the ability to taste. And by ability, I mean pleasure. Batch 89 is like pure honey buns. It's got the glorious nose of like a golden bourbon with just a dusting of butter and honey. Batch 89 down the hatch. And both of these batches for July are Jared projects. They're projects that I did not have my tiny little hands in, but I wish that I did because they're so great. Batch 89 is like the sweet bourbon lover's dream. It tickles your mouth and all the parts of your mouth that you want a sweet whiskey to tickle, like the front of the palate and surrounding the mouth, and just gets all oily and honey-like. It's like a honey nut Cheerio slipped and fell into a pool of bourbon honey and then got rescued by a sexy honeybee. If you're into sweet, sticky buns, batch 89, fantastic. Now we're into batch 90. Batch 90 is 108.5 proof. It's in the knighted line. Batch 90 is batch 79 with some 11-year MGP 36% rye distillate added to it. Tasting 79 next to 90, although the majority of this is batch 79, is like night and day. The 36% 11-year MGP bourbon just like creates this super, I don't even know how to describe it, immediately noticeable stickiness. When I was tasting this with Jared, I do remember saying that I think that this is my most valuable viscous bourbon of all time. It has the perfect amount of oil, the perfect viscosity. And the name of this batch, batch 90, Cherry Cola. And when you smell it, you go, dang, that smells like cherry cola. I don't want to hear that like a chicken cherry cola. It's just like the song, except for it knows the words to it. Cherries and raspberries and cola on the nose. And on the palate, let's find out how it goes. Remember what I said about the oiliness? It is like the BP oil spill disaster of bourbons in your mouth. If the BP oil spill disaster was a good thing. If your tongue were a duck, it would need Dawn dish soap to recover from this. It is so oily and cherry and just fantastic. Even though batch 90 is cherry cola and is exceptionally, awesomely sweet, I do think that the lovers of the sweetest bourbons will love batch 89 a bit more than 90. But if you're in the mood for an extra oily dude, batch 90, I may or may not have brought these 2 bottles up to Evernorth after I visited Barrel King, poured some out for some folks, and one dude took a sip and goes, "That tastes like cherry Coke." Which is funny because that's actually the sticker and he didn't know that. So he won a prize that day. He got a second sip of batch 90. That lucky son of a bitch. It's hard to hide my excitement for these 2 bottles, but due to my circumstances and the fact that if I get overexcited, I'm gonna wake up a wife and children and dogs and a mother-in-law. I have to maintain my excitement, so that's why I seem a bit mellowed out. Do I want to scream from the rooftops that batches 89 and 90 are like, so good? Yes, but you just have to take my word for it, because if we went to the rooftop and screamed, I wouldn't be the only one screaming, if you know what I mean. If these sound good to you, click on the link in the description below, become a Barrel King Gold member and get your hands on the July bottles, as well as any other bottles that Barrel King still has in stock from previous months. If you're one of the people getting upset that one of my videos every month is a Barrel King video, then I got 2 things to say to you. Number 1, you should probably try Barrel King to see what the fuss is about. And number 2, if I wasn't stoked and excited about the things that Barrel King are doing, it would be pretty obvious. But it's quite the contrary. I'm so pumped. Notice my whisper yell. So pumped. Now, if you don't mind, after you hit the like button, the subscribe button, and leave a comment below telling me how great I am at the whisper shout, I'm gonna go start some blending, because we have some projects in the works for the upcoming months at Barrel King, and those projects don't work unless I get to work and start blending. Love you all so much. Thank you for watching. I'll be back to my normal louder whisper voice in my normal studio mid-July. But until then, if you see any videos shot between like now and the 15th, it'll be this guy sitting on a chair like this somewhere that's not home. But you know what they say. Actually, that's a good outro, so let me say this. My name is Matt. This is ADHD Whiskey. Like I always say, you know what they say. You gotta make do with what you got. You gotta make do with what you got. Are you sitting in an oversized recliner next to the railing and a kitchen inside of your in-laws' house? Is that what you gotta work with? Then you do it. You do it. I've been in more precarious situations on many occasions, and I made chicken salad out of chicken shit.